how to get an apartment after high school. So you're like, I'm done with the stuffed animals and the teddy bears. I want my own apartment. And so that's your freedom. So if you want to figure out how to do that, stay tuned. It's Mastermind Mondays. Thank you for watching this show and for coming and hanging out with us again. And if you are new here, welcome. And so we're going to dive into figuring out whether or not you should be even moving if you're just leaving high school. Oh my God, it's kind of so early. You're like, duh, I'm 18. Get out of my way. It might be way too early for you to move. But if you have to, because you have like some parents that are super abusive and are like just getting on your nerves too, and you really feel like you can't live unless you move out, then you gotta go. But you gotta make sure you're ready to do that. So you gotta save up. Hopefully you've already saved up because you'll need some cash. So what kind of cash are we talking about? Well, it depends on the cost of the apartment. So you gotta look it up like Craigslist, Zillow, or whatever, 36010x.com. Okay, that's a better option, I think, because we're nice people. So you can go to 36010x.com and then you can figure out where you can move. And so what you have to factor in is whether or not you can afford to move. So like, do you have a job? Because if you don't have a job, you can't move. So start with figuring out the total money that you've earned per month and that you plan on earning per month, like it's within your ability and somewhat control, that you don't anticipate getting fired in the next 6 months. Then you have some stability. So you take that monthly amount, you take that monthly amount, you divide it by 3, and that's the amount you can actually count on to give the landlord, because that's what the landlord will trust you'll be able to have for the landlord. So if you're making 3 G's, you divide that by 3, that means you can like reasonably give the landlord $1,000 a month, and they can trust that, plus they feel confident that you're good at math. And so that's going to be important. Like, you can't just invent apartment numbers. I've seen like so many people come to me and they say, yeah, so I want to rent an apartment, and I'd like to rent an apartment for $400 a month. And I'm like, cool. I mean, where are you going to get that? Because in Chicago, you can't even get a room for $400 a month. So you got to know your apartment prices. And then the next thing is, you say, then the next one that they say is, okay, fine. If I can't have an apartment for $400, I will get an apartment for $800. And I'm like, all right, yeah, sounds good. Well, you're making like $2,400 a month. They're like, no, I'm making $900 a month. So if I spend $800 for the apartment, I still have $100 left over. And I'm like, no, that's not okay anywhere at all. Like nowhere. Maybe with your mom and dad, or your brother and sister, your aunt and uncle, your grandma and grandpa, or some family member who are like, oh yeah, okay, if they don't make it, I'll just, I'll keep them. But landlords aren't like that. You need to make 3 times the amount of rent. So if you don't, you can't move. That's how that works out, okay? Some landlords might be real flexible, and they'll say, okay, 2 times the rent's okay. So if you want an $800 apartment, $1,600 okay on income, they'll work with that. But you gotta have $1,600 in provable income. You either need more hours or a different job, or plastic surgery. I don't know. $1,600 at a strip club, something ain't right. Okay, so coming back to the first tip is you gotta make sure you have your savings, because you have to pay for rent, security deposit, move-in fee, and some furniture, because you can't sleep on the floor. You gotta be some realistic dude or dudette with apartment prices, because you'll need to be able to convince somebody out there to rent to you. And look, we're pretty good at doing that kind of stuff. We have agents who are professional negotiators. We have non-agents who can connect you to landlords who will not negotiate for you. So depending on the kind of service that you want, we can probably make that happen. But there's one more thing to consider, which is credit. And if landlords are going to be picky in the area where you want to go to, they're going to be picky on credit. That's going to be something you'll need to work through to overcome, either on your own, or you can go to rentapartments.io and get some knowledge there, or you can go to 36010x and talk to me or somebody else that's on the team who will be able to help you. So the credit consideration is going to be pretty important, okay? The next thing you want to be able to prove is that you actually have a job, so you need to have at least 1 month of pay stubs. Then the next thing you need to do is don't bring like pit bulls or alligators with you. Because landlords don't like pit bulls and alligators because all of those are aggressive breeds and restricted. So I'm serious, really, no pit bulls. Pit bulls are not the kind of animals that most landlords will accept. In fact, in the city of Chicago, most of the landlords, they have to have insurance on their building, and there is a clause, not a Santa Claus or clause, there's a clause in an insurance policy that actually stipulates that the landlord may not be covered for pit bull incidences, or they may actually get kicked out of their building insurance if there's a pit bull in the building. You know, that's just how it rolls. Somebody wrote that, and you just have to live by it, and those are rules, but that's just the way it works, okay? So just, it's what it is. Okay, so then, the other thing is you want to avoid the violence. So you need to look at the crime statistics. Crime statistics, they're published in the city of Chicago. They're probably going to be published in some other areas. It's going to be pretty important that you stay safe. And so if you can do that, that will be good for your health. So look at that before you move. All of these are considerations. Mom and dad, if you're watching this, show your teen this entire video before they get all crazy trying to move out without factoring all the little things. The next tip is try to avoid garden apartments unless you know what to look for, because there are garden apartments that are going to be affordable and you might get suckered into renting one because you don't know what you're looking for, because some garden apartments will flood and all of your shit will get wet and then it will get moldy and then you can get sick and have mold growing in your lungs and sinuses, and then you can die. For real, I've met people who were walking around infected with black mold, and they had to have stuff carved out of their sinuses. Antibiotics don't work. It's really just bad news. You should avoid garden apartments unless you have an expert who can go with you, who can say, yep, this looks good. Okay, so that was it for now. Okay, I hope this was helpful and you can learn some stuff. That was my mind dump to help you guys figure out how to navigate from your 18-year birthday on to get some independence. If you like the content, give us a like, a subscribe, hit the bell, because then you'll be notified the next time we publish content. And tell your friends and family and your girlfriend and your boyfriend and your other friend and your BFF and all those people on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And tune in next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.